Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Best, How Elite Athletes Are Made, by Tim Wigmore and Mark Williams. Narrated by Stuart Nurse.
Forward. I think most of us, even those of us who are slightly obsessed with it, know that sport isn't the most consequential thing in the world. It may be fun and diverting, but it isn't life and death. As the great football manager Arrigo Sacchi put it, sport is the most important of the unimportant things in life. But sport has another role too. Beyond providing exercise and entertainment, it helps us to understand ourselves. It helps us to grasp why some people excel and others do not, why some strive while others fizzle out, why some cope with pressure and others fall apart. This book is a cutting-edge analysis of what we now call sports science, but is really a deconstruction about how we can all be the best we can be. From a starting discussion on why younger siblings tend to outperform older ones, we are taken on a journey into the rich terrain of the human body and mind. I first came across Mark Williams when researching my first book, Bounce, because his academic papers stood out for their insight and clarity. I went to Liverpool John Moores University, his place of work at the time, to learn more about his research into perceptual intelligence in sport. This book is a timely way of bringing his research to a wider audience. I first got to know Tim Wigmore while reading his fine and analytical articles in the popular media. He seemed like the perfect person to team up with Mark to write a book bringing together the different strands of sports science in a way that might both help us to understand the construction of greatness and offer practical tips on practice, parenting, and performing. It is interesting that sport, as a cultural institution, has grown beyond all expectation in recent decades. There are few nations on earth that are unmoved by the feats of the finest athletes, whether it is Usain Bolt powering down the track in an Olympic arena, Serena Williams powering her way to another Grand Slam title, or Roger Federer turning tennis into performance art. I have little doubt that sport will continue to grow, continue to inspire, continue to bring meaning both to the lives of those who watch it and those who play it. As I write these words, I am midway through watching The Last Dance, the ESPN documentary series about NBA giant Michael Jordan. It is a thrilling narrative, chronicling the career of a sportsman who took a failing basketball franchise by the scruff of the neck and turned it into one of the greatest teams of all time. It is about strength of character, Jordan's refusal to brook anything other than excellence, and his willingness to set an example to all around him. Jordan could be difficult, perhaps even overbearing at times, but there is no disputing his relentless effectiveness. I noticed on Twitter one poster asking, "How do you become so good at something?" Another asked, "How did he reach such incredible heights?" It is perhaps impossible to give a complete answer to a question so complex, almost mystical, but this book gives it a very good go. Matthew Said, May 2020. Prologue. Every day, the best athletes are everywhere, on our television screens, on our social media feeds, and in our newspapers. What are the odds of joining them? Actually, we know the answer. One US high school player out of every 5,768 becomes a professional football player. One out of every 11,771 becomes a men's basketball player, and one out of every 13,015 becomes a professional women's basketball player. But this is just to become professional athletes. When it comes to being the best in their sport, naturally, the odds increase markedly. There are 5.3 million female US basketball players, but only one, Elena Delle Donne, who has the best free throw percentage of any basketball player, male or female, in history. In South Africa, there are 460,000 rugby players, but only one, Cy Kolisi, who captained the Springboks to Rugby World Cup glory in 2019. And in England, only 180 of the 1.5 million players who play organised football each year become Premier League players, a success rate of 0.012%. This shows how remarkable Marcus Rashford's journey to scoring on his England debut aged 18 is. Deladon, Colisi and Rashford are three of the athletes that we interviewed to understand their journeys to the summit of professional sport. Jamie Carragher, Pete Sampras, Steph Curry, Dan Carter, Joey Votto, Ian Poulter, Arnika Sorenstam, Mike Hussey, Arda Hegerberg, Helen Glover, Shane Battier, Kumar Sangakkara and Stephen Hendry were among those who also generously shared their insights. The Best: How Elite Athletes Are Made is the story of how athletes rise to the top. Combining cutting-edge sports science research with dozens of exclusive interviews with leading players and coaches, the book seeks answers to fundamental questions. What makes them stand out? What makes them the best at what they do? What separates them from those who fail to make the grade? In the first chapters of the book, we explore the luck of birth and how this impacts who becomes the best athletes. It explains why younger siblings have a significantly greater chance of becoming elite athletes than older siblings. It explores what it takes to be the parent of future champions, with the help of Judy Murray. It investigates the perfect type of town for athletes to be born in, and why mid-sized towns produce far more champions. We also go on a journey to the banlieues of Paris, the football hub of the world, to explore why the area produces more elite footballers than anywhere else, and what this reveals about the playgrounds of sporting greatness, and how environment and culture shape who rises to the summit of sport. The book then explains how athletes perform their extraordinary feats. Athletes can process swathes of complex information instantaneously to decide on the appropriate action, often under intense pressure. As former Liverpool Football Club defender Jamie Carragher explains, reading the game is about the speed of players' minds, not their hands or feet. The best athletes, we'll discover, literally use their eyes differently than less successful ones. We decode how athletes think and read the game and answer some essential questions. How do players really hit a baseball or cricket ball when it takes under 0.5 seconds to reach them? Why do underarm serves and grunts work in tennis? And why are left-handers overrepresented in elite sport? We also explore how Colisi led South Africa to World Cup glory and what the story reveals about the science of teamwork in sport, why athletes choke, and why, like Ian Poulter in the Ryder Cup, some deliver their best under pressure. And we explain how to win a penalty shootout. Finally, we explore how athletes practice and develop their skills to reach the next level. Deladon explores the training regime that helped her to become the best ever free-throw shooter, and we explain what this shows about the type of practice necessary to attain greatness. The best athletes we discover have ownership over their practice, rather than simply being told what to do. We explore how coaches can enable greatness, encapsulated by the story of Danny Kerry, the former head coach of Great Britain hockey, who transformed his coaching based on research into skill acquisition, leading the country to its first ever hockey gold medal in the Olympics. And we visit FC Barcelona, one of the foremost sports clubs in the world, to explore how they are using technology to improve their players further. Neuroscience and technology, like virtual reality, have the potential to push athletes to even greater heights. Our focus is broadly on the most popular sports, so while we cover Olympic sports, there is much: football, basketball, cricket, tennis, golf, rugby union and baseball. The book combines world-leading sports science research with exclusive interviews with dozens of leading athletes and coaches. The range of athletes we interviewed illuminates the research and shows the many different routes that exist to reach the top. The focus of the book is mostly sociological and psychological, though, as we explore...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?